What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back with a little transfer news, little transfer update. Nothing in and out. Pause. But some news concerning one of our first team players that are looking for an exit. Just before I continue, please hit a like on the video. Best way to support the channel. Drop comments below and subscribe. Oh, okay. It's me. Hold on. Done it again. And subscribe if you're sensible. Okay. I've already said in the last video, I don't want everyone subscribing. I know that's a bit of going against the grain on YouTube, but I only want people that can debate football sensibly. So if you're one of those people, then hit the subscribe button and obviously hit the notification bell because you never know when I'm going to go live or drop a video. What we saying here? Philip saying, KG, good to see you back. Yeah, I mean, I was only here 2 days ago, man. And you know what? Shout out to everyone for that video, man, with the completion of the 49ers takeover. That was such a good video. And and I said it at the time, but I'll say it again. The fact we've been relegated, you just don't know what's going to happen. But the fact that so many people were so upbeat about the takeover was really cool to see. And it just feels like we're having a fresh start now. And with the player that we're going to talk about today, for me, I feel fresh start is needed for him. When I saw the news, it didn't surprise me. I think we all expect Illan Meslier to look for another club, especially with how it ended. But yeah, I mean, Mike, I was just about to say Mike stole my thunder, but Robbie Keane today in the in the soccer aid game, you see those finishes. We didn't need him as a coach. We could have done with him on the pitch, and it so. But yeah, shout out to Robbie Keane. He's always going to have that in his boots. You don't lose that. You can possibly lose everything else, the agility, the speed, but when you got finishing like that, it doesn't leave you, does it? Um, Harry saying, "Yes, KG mate. If people want to go, then see you. Yeah. No matter who it is, and I'll be consistent with that. Even if it's one of my how many players do I like in this team? 3 players. Even if it's one of those, I'd say good luck to you, or see you later. Just Leeds United get the best price possible. Because you know what, I don't want to see as well, people. I don't want to see any of our players go for cheap. Because I'm seeing Southampton quoting clubs 50 plus million for James Ward-Prowse. I mean, I know there's English tax on that, but if they're gonna demand stuff like that, then we need to, unless there's obviously a release clause that if that's in there, we've got no say in the price. But if we've got a say in the price, I want to see Leeds demand the very best amount of money they can. You know what I mean? I think we've undersold players so many times through the years. It's time for us to also hold clubs to ransom as well and say, nah, if you really want this player, show him you want him and pay the money that we think he's worth to us. And I want to see more of that under the 49ers. And I'm hoping that that is what is going to happen too. Um, Bob saying, evening, KG. Meslier mentioned another club's name is a joke while under contract. Bob's, man, Bob's, you're a long-term subscriber on here. I don't know how old you are, but that's part of the game now. It's just like, let me try and do it so it matches us. It's gone in our favor too, Bubs. When players have, you know, let's take Brendan Aronson for instance. When he was linked to a move to Leeds, now he didn't flat out say no, I'm staying with Salzburg or anything else like that. He kind of kept it under wraps. He left it open to interpretation instead of saying no, I'm under contract to Salzburg. This is where I'm going to be. It happens both ways. If we're going for, and I hope this isn't the case, say if we're going for League Two's best player and he plays for whoever in League Two, and he says, "Yeah, I'd love to go to Leeds United." The way it will go with us as Leeds fans is saying, "Oh, look at this man! This guy really wants to play for us. He's mentioning us. He's saying that it would be an honor to play." It goes both ways, Bob. So I hear what you're saying, and maybe it's because it's going the other way, and possibly to Chelsea that probably stings more. But that's part of the game now in football. Really and truly, it is. There's no secrets now. Tapping up is a myth. If managers don't do it, they'll get a player that the player knows to do it. It's 2023. I'm afraid, people. These guys all know each other as well. Social media, man. You're seeing some players that have never played with each other at youth level, club level, and they're all talking to each other because they've possibly got the same agents. They're possibly under the same sponsorship with Adidas, Nike. It's just not the same as it was. I'm afraid, people. Um, okay, Bob's 33. Fair enough. Yeah. Miles is saying, I'm not a Meslier fan, don't rate him, but have no issue with him trying to get a Premier League team. If he didn't want to better himself, then he isn't professional. Well, Miles, we're going to get into that with some of his comments. You know what? let's get into it, because you know what it is with these transfer videos. I am gonna go live when I can, but sometimes they may be uploaded. But I thought I'd just go live with this one because obviously he's been one of our main players in the last few years. So let's just get into it. And while I'm doing that, while I'm getting up the article, hit the like on the video. Best way to support the channel. Oh my days, how could I forget? Has Haribo is a new member of the channel. Shout out to you, Has. Memberships are in the description. That is another way to support the channel. And shout out to Mr. P for the super thanks on the last couple of videos. Much appreciated, as always, Mr. P. So let me just get the article up. Here we go. And this was verified as well by Fabrizio Romano, who reposted the quotes as well. Illan Meslier, who is away on international duty, made these quotes. So let's get into them. Let's get into them. And yeah, John H, I hear you. I think sometimes because it's Leeds United, I think we all expect that these players want to stay no matter what. But I think we all know in football that's not the case anymore. So yeah, let's go through it. Illan Meslier talking to RMC Sport, and this is via Get Football News France, who also reposted the story in English. Illan Meslier said that he's open to leaving Leeds United this summer after the club were relegated to the Championship during an interview with RMC Sport. Let's not go through all of it. The Frenchman lost his position as Leeds United #1 towards the end of the season, having to settle for a place on the bench during the final 4 games of the final 4 Premier League matches of the season. He's lucky it was only 4. Let's be real. He's lucky. Let's have a look. During an interview, this is what he said. When asked where his future lies. It is complicated when you're in such a situation. We no longer have a coach. Our club is being purchased by the 49ers group. There are lots of unknowns. For now, I have a contract till 2026. Officially, I still belong to Leeds. I will have to think about what could be the best project, be that at Leeds or another club. Yeah. Okay, and then about the Chelsea links, Meslier replied, if it is to go on and be on the bench, I'm not interested in that. If it's to be #1, of course, you can't say I'm not interested in Chelsea. I prefer to go to a less reputable club where I have more game time than a top European club where I sit on the bench. Now, see, that was for me the most interesting bit. You know, I mean, Diggler. I mean, dropping Meslier did a lot of good, didn't it? I mean, Diggler. If you're gonna go back individually to some of those games where Meslier didn't play, just think about what scoreline that Man City one would have been with all those chances against us if he was in goal. You know what I mean? Some people, man, you guys ride for some of these players, man. I say to you, Diggler, he don't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it, but you know, it is what it is. He doesn't deserve your love, man. I'm telling you. But I'm just saying with Meslier and some of these quotes, yeah. First of all, the one about the ownership, it sounded very Russ McCormack here. It sounded very Russ McCormack on that transfer deadline day where he tried to get out the club. Remember that one in the January one where McDermott was sacked and it was all in turmoil, and he's phoning Sky Sports News. Terrible scenes. I mean, I never liked Russ McCormack though. I'll be honest with you, but you know what? At least he did. At least he did score goals. You know, at least he did score goals in the league we're in. But Meslier there trying a little Russ McCormack there. But the most interesting one for me is if it's to go on the bench, he's not interested in that. I get that bit 100%. But he can't say he's not interested in Chelsea, but he'd prefer to go to a less reputable club where he'd get more game time than a top European club where he sit on the bench. And for me, that's the most interesting part of it, because when you think of Chelsea now, you know, he would have a shot of being #1 there. He is not the best. And I saw some of the comments from the Chelsea fans, including Matisse, shout out to him. He's not interested in Meslier whatsoever. But if he had a better mentality, he would be going to Chelsea and saying, Kepa, you ain't doing too much. Mendy, you haven't been great at all. I've got a shot of being Chelsea #1 here as they're rebuilding. He has a legitimate shot at Chelsea. Now I can understand if he's going to Real Madrid. I mean, it's not happening, but if he was to go to Real Madrid and try and battle Courtois, I can see why he'd say what he said in this article. But Chelsea, you should be backing yourself if you've got anything about you. And I think for me, that kind of just it's a little peek into his mentality a bit as well. that he'd rather go to a less reputable club where he play. So, let's just pick some names. Is he talking about like a Palace? Is he talking about one of those kind of clubs? Maybe, it won't be Brentford. They've replaced Raya already. Some teams do that. Is it maybe a Brighton where there's less pressure? It could be that, but you would think with who's been linked with him, and I mean, no matter what we think of him, there's been some top clubs linked with him. I even Manchester United in previous past, but yeah, I mean, listen, it sounds like he doesn't back himself, doesn't it? Especially when you think about Chelsea's goalkeeper. He's not battling Petr Cech. He's not battling him. He's not even battling Carlo Cudicini. He's battling two goalkeepers that Chelsea fans want out, and he still doesn't feel that he'll get number one there. Very interesting. But all I'll say with that is if Chelsea do want to come in, if that Todd Bowley does want to just keep spending money, I suggest he do it and come in with a real good offer for him. The only thing is, what I'll say is that Chelsea have already kind of scaled back on the spending. They were in for Ugarte, but they said only up to a certain point, and then they dropped out, and Ugarte has gone to PSG. So maybe Todd Bowley has started to learn his lessons. Danny here saying Everton or Fulham. Yeah, I mean, you're hearing that Jordan Pickford is being looked at by Manchester United, so that could be a possibility that Everton may have a position open. But I mean, would Everton want him after that whole Seamus Coleman goal? I mean, surely they'll remember that and say, "Oh God, remember that when Seamus Coleman actually scored a goal." I don't know, but yeah, Fulham. I don't know, Danny. Fulham. See, this is it, Danny. Does he get in ahead of Burnt Leno? Not for me. I would take Burnt Leno over Illan Meslier like for 7 days in the week. So I mean, yeah, Fulham is a decent shout, but I don't think he gets in a Burnt Leno. Um, Thomas, 970 million, please. Jacob saying he was easily a bottom three keeper in the league last year. What Prem club would want him at number one? Yeah, Jacob, he hasn't done himself any favors. You know what? He was getting away with it early part of the season. He really was. He was getting away with it in terms of it just looks like it's the hopeless Leeds United defense, which it was, and I'm not gonna, get them off the hook like that. But the errors were showing up more and more. A lot of more people were starting to see it. And yeah, it's one of those where his holes in his game were really, really starting to show up on a weekly basis. Blinkyfish isn't having it though. I don't like players talk about going to other clubs when they're still contracted to us. Just keep it shut. Well, Blinkyfish, what if a real good player that we're linked with says, say it's everyone's flavor of the month, Gakores from Coventry. If he says tomorrow, I want the Leeds move, Blinkyfish, what are you saying then? Let me know. Mike. Paddy McGuinness would get it before Melier, yeah. And listen, for me, John Knox is saying goodbye, Ilyan, and good luck. Yeah, for me, it's one of those where I think it's just good for both parties, both Illan Meslier and for Leeds United, if we just have a fresh start in goal. There's so many positions we're going to say this over the summer, by the way, so forgive me if you hear it, but he's 23 years old. He's got a lot of time. I still think that in maybe 3 years' time, he will have gotten better, maybe with a better goalie coach with him as well, which we do need to replace as well in the summer. Forget this guy that we've got, let him go. But yeah, I think that a good move for him would be good. I mean, how much do people think we'll get familiar at this point? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know. Diggler continuing to defend Meslier. The defense made every man on the pitch look awful. It is true, Diggler, but there's no point me trying to talk with Diggler. I don't think or he or she is listening to this, but there were so many times where Meslier would have just a simple shot to make, a simple save to make, and it would bounce off his hand or his wrist and still go in. I've never been one that says every shot at the near post needs to be saved, but you saw about his positioning so many times that it would just go in on his near post. Free kicks, his positioning was awful for trying to save free kicks, and for as tall as he is, he would get beat up high quite a lot. So for me, yeah, he's got a lot more to do with his game. He wasn't commanding at crosses as well. That's another thing. These are all big things for goalkeepers. And that goalkeeper we saw make his debut against Arsenal with the ball playing ability, he's dead. Rest in peace. I don't know where he's gone. You know what I mean? But a lot of you here saying for the price point while I was there talking there with 15. Okay, Philip is saying 15 to 20. If we could get 20, Richard thinks we'll just get the money back on our investment here, 5 million. Jimmy saying 12. 10 to 15. Yeah, yeah. The unambiguous is saying, I think we should be getting a replacements in before we release the drafts. I think it's got to work hand in hand. I think you've got to do both. So if you've got the opportunity to get yourself a real, good quality number one, and Melier's still here, you've still got to do it. If Melier has an opportunity where the price is unbelievable, say it is 20 million, then you have to accept that. I mean, I think you have to do that, and then you work and go and get your goalkeeper, whoever it is. Um, Blinkyfish has answered me. Well done, Blinkyfish. I love Gyökeres, KG. The difference is I don't hear him talking. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's away on international duty. Usually these kind of things always happen on international duty with these players, but it won't be the first and it won't be the last. But Blinkyfish, I'll certainly remember if any player that we're linked with says they want to come to Leeds, I'm going to ask you your opinion then. Jed here saying Melier's fingers are made of straw. It's just so disappointing, Jed. I mean, I've talked about the decline of Pascal Struijk and how disappointed I was with that. With Melier, over 100 Premier League appearances, and he went backwards. And once again, the defense is awful, 100%. But we'd be on top in games, guys. How many times through the season did I say in match reactions we were good for 20 minutes, opening 20 minutes, and then the first shot they've scored? It happened over 13 times, people. There's not the sorry, the defense is at fault 100%, but your goalkeeper can make that first save for you as well. And it happened to him over 13 times in the Premier League last season. He was as big a reason why we went down as it was the paper thin defense, Patrick Bamford's misses, the lack of goals from midfield. All of that in that melting pot is a reason why we went down. Um, Let's have a look. Raddy believes with the super chat. I've got it this time, Raddy believes. Shout out to you as well. Melier is a classic case of a young player being overplayed and over relied on, eventually leading to a horrific loss of confidence. I blame the club. Raddy believes that's another good point, and that is a valid point. We did overplay him, and that is why when he was even last season when he was going through his rough patches, and I think we all remember those. It was like, well, we don't have another goalkeeper, and again, that is on the club for not having another capable goalkeeper to take him out the firing line. But we did this season, Rada Leeds, didn't we? We had Robles in goal. And apart from the Spurs game, I don't think he did much else wrong. People can point to the cup games, but I'm talking about the Premier League games in particular. But he did. He got overplayed. And listen, if we'd still had Javi Gracia, he'd have played him until the end, which goes further to Rada Leeds' point. He needed dropping games before the games he actually got dropped under Big Sam. He needed dropping way before that. But we just kept rolling him out, hoping he's going to play himself back into it. And it only got worse. It only got worse. Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, all leads away at saying Pope to Newcastle about 8 million. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly not playing for Newcastle, is he? I mean, not many people can go past Sir Nick Pope, though. Let's be honest, yeah. Ian, okay. Oh no, I've selected one with Bielsa, but let me read it anyway. Ian, KG with Bielsa, we had 15 coaches who coached, so players got better this season. I think we have 3 coaches. There is your problem. Yeah, no, listen, Ian. One thing you'd always say about Bielsa is that he actually coached players to make them better, and that was very evident, wasn't it? It was very evident. But I just think that the backroom staff at Leeds United isn't up to much. Whoever that goalkeeper is, goalkeeping coach is that we had since Victor Orta was here, man, we need to get a clear out of that. We talk about the playing staff, but I think the coaches need to be better. But yeah, 100%. Bielsa's coaching staff were like him. He wouldn't take them everywhere he goes if he didn't trust in them, believe in their abilities. And yeah, the coaching staff behind the scenes was definitely a factor as well. But at the end of the day, though, when you're on the pitch, you are in front of everyone. And listen, he's not actually saying here that he doesn't deserve it. He thinks that he should stay and be a championship goalkeeper. He still believes that he has the ability to play at a higher level. So this is him saying, I'm ready for a fresh start. And wherever it may be, hopefully I'm the number one. And if I have to go to a lower tier club, I will do that and not go to a top club and sit on the bench. But for me, it's more about just going to a top club and battling it out. and it's different scenarios. Like I say, it's not going to be the same example for every player. I think it's not a blanket statement that fits every player. Like if you've got Erling Haaland in front of you, but by any chance, um, you're not going to go to Man City and think, you know what, I'm going to displace Erling Haaland. You got to be realistic, yeah. You got to be realistic. But if he's going Chelsea, he should have the confidence to displace Kepa and Mendy. Come on now, yeah, yeah. I mean, Arinda, yeah, that Shaman Coleman's got. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't see Everton doing it, but hey, you never know. You never know. Uh, okay, Rick here is not having it. He's saying he has shown his colors, even naming Chelsea, so he can jog on. Overrated and is completely to blame for a terrible season. No way is he getting number one in any top club. Wow. Ooh, completely to blame, Rick. I mean, he's certainly got his has his share, fair share of the blame, but completely to blame. That whoa. Oh man. Yeah, Thomas here saying, I believe I can play Prem. I can't. That's fair. And Miles here saying, from what he said, it sounds to me like he's already given up any fight trying to regain his top spot at Leeds. You know what? For me as well, Miles, I think the rope for Meslier now in the championship would be so short for Leeds United fans in general, apart from obviously Diggler and people like that. In that, if he makes a mistake in the first game of the season, people are like, why is this guy still here? That's why I'm saying I think it's just best now for a fresh start. And if he, I still, a lot of people can't believe in the comments. I can see there that he's got Premier League clubs after him. He does. He still has plenty of interest, but it's just not at the 25-30 million interest that it was maybe even this time last year. So we have to kind of accept that. But we should be getting more than the 5 million we pay for him, hopefully. Melia couldn't catch a cold. Yeah, it's just disappointing with him because you can see that there is a good goalkeeper there. I know that people can't see it now because of the recency thing, but there is a good goalkeeper there. Maybe under a different club with less pressure, like a Brighton or somewhere like that, he can thrive. Maybe he will get better. Maybe he will. Um, Carl saying, "I love your view, KG. We agree on most things." Yeah, listen, it's good to agree on most things, maybe even some things, but it's good to debate as well if you don't agree. As long as it's always respectful, I'll always accept that. Always accept that because that's what it is. Football's about opinions, isn't it? Um, Blinkyfish here is saying, sorry, yeah. Big Sam said he sulked for 2 days after he was dropped. What did he expect? His form has been terrible. What I would say to that Blinkyfish is that I'm glad he was sulking. I know that he was in terrible, terrible, terrible form. But if he's happy about being dropped, again, that would speak to his mentality. So I'm glad he was sulking. But in all fairness, if you've got any accountability, and self accountability is something that I talk about big on here, you should probably know that you should have been dropped 10 games ago, not just the last 4, 10 games. So, but yeah, a lot of people don't have self accountability, I must say. Nah, Tom's not putting that on the screen. No chance. Wooksy is saying, should we buy Stefan from City? Nah, not for me. Not for me. I'm not a fan of Zach Stefan, and I don't let the Man City thing fool me either. I think they're going to try and sell him in the summer, but he moved to the championship, and I saw him have a few clangers for Middlesbrough. Nah, we need someone stable back there, and for me, Zach Stefan isn't it. No problem. It's Geronimo Scott Carson, proven Champions League winner. You know what? And I was when I was watching the coverage of Man City yesterday, man. And let me just take a sip. Hold on a minute. By the way, this isn't like a Rule Britannia Cup or nothing like that. It's an Earl of Sandwich one. If you've ever been Disney Village in Disneyland Paris, you'll know what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, I was just watching Erling Haaland yesterday in his post match with Thierry Henry. CBS Sports, by the way, have got the best coverage of Champions League football, hands down, best one. Just absolutely brilliant from topics to the banter to everything else. They are just goated in terms of their panel. But you've got Erling Haaland yesterday just asking Thierry Henry how what he can improve live on air. Thierry Henry asked, Erling Haaland, who's broken goal scoring records this season, that's won a treble in trophies, broken goal scoring records. He's there asking Thierry Henry, "How can I be better?" And that is what I wish that we had at this club from everyone, whether it be players, the fans in general, just demanding a bit more so we could be a bit, better. I just wish that we had that, man, because you got Erling Haaland asking for advice. You've got players here at our club currently that think they're the bee's knees because people around them and fans at the club gas them up to the levels that think that they're great players. I wish that we had some players like that. Just that, even Jack Grealish and Rodri, who scored the winner, saying that they didn't even play great, but you know what? It doesn't matter. They won a trophy. God, that kind of mentality, man, is so good. But before anyone says go and support Man City, I didn't feel it for him. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, cool. But I just know that if it was Leeds United winning the Champions League, man, oh, I wouldn't be able to sleep for days, man. Days, days, days. I mean, Richard, I wish Bamford had asked. I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. You think of Haaland doing all of what he's done this season, and he's kind of put to bed as well the whole pressing forward that don't score goals thing argument, hasn't he? But yeah, I just it's just a different mentality, and I wish that we had it here still. I mean, we had it for a brief moment back in the late 90s, early 2000s before the collapse, but yeah, it's just disappeared from everything here, just from comments I see as well. It's a shame. It's a shame. Hopefully one day we'll be there. Maybe under the 49ers umbrella we'll get there, but yeah, we'll see. Thomas say, so do you think with a lot of dots in there, in your heart of hearts, that Leeds can go straight back up? Yeah, if the recruitment's right, Thomas. The recruitment has to be right. Like I've said, and I'll say it again. If we was to line up with that team that lined up against Spurs in the championship, I wouldn't have any hope of us getting promoted. Not one sliver of hope. Obviously, we can't line up with it because McKennie's gone back now. But yeah, I wouldn't have one shred of hope if we was to line up with that team in the championship. So recruitment is key. It's about getting stronger. It's about getting real generals at the back. Shout again, John Stones. I mean, what a rise he's had. But yeah, just getting real defenders back there, people that aren't afraid to tussle, people that can play with the ball in midfield as well. Get some mid goals from midfield. Remember those. There's just so many things we got to improve on, and it's not going to happen with this current group. Skip saying, "Come on, Cage, you won the championship with League One players. What more do you want?" But Skip, that was because we had an elite coach. That's got nothing to do with the players. They took it on board. They took on Marcelo Bielsa's methods, but that's because we had an elite coach in that way. At this point in time, there's nothing elite with this club. You know what I mean? And that not to say that you don't support the clubs in a bad time, but you just wish that we could have got back to the dizzy heights. I mean, I mentioned with West Ham winning the Europa Conference League, man, I'd take that. I would take that as a starting block and then build from there. But we are back in the championship now, where, like I said in the last video, it's a 1 year loan deal. It's a 1 year loan deal, people. So 49ers, let's get moving with the recruitment. Michelle Lee with the super chat. Thank you, Michelle. Just wanted to say hi, KG, and support my favorite. Shout out to you, Michelle. Yes, out in Canada, Vancouver, I believe, isn't it? So yeah, go Canucks. Even though I don't like the Canucks, but yeah, shout out to you, Michelle. Thank you for the support. Um, but yeah, let's have a look. Spen saying, "Did you hear that dig at us on Soccer Aid in commentary? I thought it was kind of out of pocket, but funny." Yeah, I mean, listen, there's been all kinds of digs now. It don't matter to me. Those kind of things don't matter, and I kind of block those out in mid season when we was getting our bottoms handed to us weekly. So for me, it's about just focusing on now 49ers. Let's get back in the Prem and push on from there. For me, you know what I mean. Um, but yeah. Oh yeah, Philip. We'd be bottom half if we keep those players. Trust me, Philip. I have no confidence in that team. It was awful, just awful seeing them on the team sheet. As soon as I saw them on the team sheet, I said, you know what? They've given up. Big Sam knows he knows it's a wrap. It's done. It's absolutely done. So, but yeah, it's about getting some new players in. I know that's scary for a lot of fans. I will say that. Seems like a lot of fans are scared of getting rid of some of these players. I'm not scared. I'm excited. It gives me hope. It gives me hope if I see a lot more names starting to be linked with moves away. Unfortunately, it seems to be only our better players, and Illan Meslier, no matter what you say, is currently classed as one of our better players. But yeah, it needs to be done. 100% needs to be done. It should have been done years ago, but no point going back onto that. But yeah, any more thoughts on Meslier just before we get out of here? Let's have a look. Keith is saying, I always thought Melio was overrated. I tell my friend he's a vampire, petrified of crosses. Yeah, yeah. Petrified of crosses. Shots when there's players in and around him. He doesn't see through them. He doesn't see around them. They just go in. I always say bearing down one on one. He's usually good for those. But nah, just too many holes. Too many holes, man. Uh, I think Leeds on top is saying, KG, do you believe the 49ers will splash a cash to get us back up to the Premier League? Yeah, I do. Well, but the thing is, Leeds on top and everybody else, proof is in the pudding. We've already had too many words over the past couple of years from our previous chairman, previous owner. We need to see the actions in place, and I hope the 49ers enterprises realize that and know that any statements that they make are just going to be cheap words until we see the proof on the pitch. I mean, it's not impossible when you get relegated to replace a bulk of your squad. It isn't, because like we say, there are release clauses. Obviously other clubs have to pay them, but you can also do your recruiting. You're not going to get the best players in the world, but you can still get top of the range championship quality that could possibly transfer over to the Premier League. But in the main, as long as I'm seeing more actions than I do statements coming out saying we're going to do this, going to do that, and then they don't back it up, I'm not interested in that. And I hope the 49. I think the 49ers would have learned from that as well, working with Andrea. Gotta say. Kadeem saying, Evertonian here, really like watching your videos. Keep up the good work. Wish Leeds all the best. Yeah, you guys, man, you got more lives than a cat, man. Everton, jeez, you're just never going to get relegated, are you, Kadeem? Never going to get relegated. But no, shout out to you, Kadeem, and thank you for watching. Um, Yeah, and you know what, Jack? I'll end it on this one. This is perfect here. Meslier can pull off wonder saves, but he fails at the basics. It's time to move him on. Yeah, great words. That pretty much sums him up 100%. People saying get rid of all these players. They've already done a keep sell video. Already done that. Some of you keep on reminding me about some of those players that I would keep, but it's all good. Um, Radaby Leeds here. I think this must be a different one. I don't know actually. Yeah, there's a few Radaby Leeds out there. Goalkeeper like left back is one of those issues that has haunted us for years. Yeah, we people always tell me that we haven't replaced Pablo Hernandez in the 10. That's fair. But for me, if you want to talk about left backs, we haven't replaced Ian Hart. No one's even come close to what Ian Hart's did for us or done for us. No, not even close. I think of all the left backs that have come through with big reputations, whether that be Stephen Warnock or Barry Douglas, who you think, oh man, we finally solved it, and he turns out to be a crock. You don't have to finish it off. He was a crock. He was always injured, and even when he was playing, there was nowhere near the dynamic wing back we saw at Wolves. What I mean? It just never happened for us at left back. And goalkeeper is one of those that I think we did have it sorted, but we let him go for cheap. Kasper Schmeichel, I think he would have been the one for us. I did like Alex McCarthy when he was here on loan as well. I remember that was a real nice little loan spell. But yeah, I think left back's probably been the more problematic area overall. Lewis is saying take Ben Foster from Wrexham. He's staying at Wrexham. He's going to be with them in League Two. Yeah, and Bob's, yeah, exactly. Ian Hart was still getting in Championship Team of the Season for Reading, wasn't he? In 2012, I believe it was. So yeah, he was still doing it even then. We'd never replace Ian Hart, but I don't go all the way back there. But I'm just saying we just never replaced him. Um, let's have a look. Uh, Mikey saying, "What about Freddie Woodman for keeper?" Oh, yeah. Let me just visualize it. Yeah, I like the Sam Johnstone shout a bit more. I'll be real with you. I think he's okay. Nah, you know what? Nah, 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 nah. I like the Sam Johnson shout more. Freddie Woodman don't move me. It's not moving me here, Mikey. I'm not feeling it. It's not doing nothing for me. So I'm gonna say no. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that do like Freddie Woodman. Uh, Bob's here. Did you mention your thoughts on Farker not inspiring for me? Yeah, it doesn't do nothing for me. We're hearing from people that we're going to be speaking to him next week. I don't know how official those reports are because, like I say, they're not coming from anybody that I see, that I take their word or if they've heard anything from it. I've not seen any of them talk about it. But yeah, Farker, you know what it is with Farker? He might be good for the promotion, but you've got to be ruthless and sack him before you get to the Prem because in the Prem, he's a cook. He's an absolute cock. Listen, he's just not a good Premier League manager. It's proven. I know Norwich didn't invest properly and everything else like that, but now even when they lost games, he was just too. He was too nice, wasn't he? He was too nice about it, and I don't want that. I don't want that at the club. I don't want someone who just accepts losing like that. Whether he says something differently behind the dressing room, I get that, but what you're saying to the fans is that yeah, we're gonna keep getting beat, and we'll just keep trying. Nah, man, allow it. Now, Farker for me, yeah, he might be good to get you promoted, but then sack him and get somebody else. That's the way I see it. Um, yes, yeah, it was. It was Plettenberg. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? He's all right, actually. Oh, he's all right. He's saying that Farker might be spoken to by Leeds next week. It will Gil. Gil. That's another thing. Gil mentioned him with his voice. The voice has got nothing to do with it for me, but it's just giving Darren Farley some easy material, isn't it? If he becomes Leeds manager, nah. So no, no, no. We'll leave Farker, but yeah, I mean Guy Fawkes here. Guy Fawkes, what a name. Farker is too naive tactically, defensively, shocking, awful, awful. But he seems to work in the Championship, but he doesn't have it at Premier League level. Not even a little bit for me. So I'm gonna say no to that overall. I'm gonna say no to it because I just don't see in general anyway, Leeds United fans saying, "Yeah, you got us up," and then sack him. You know what these guys are like, just sentimental to the core. He got us promoted. He deserves chance. No, not for me. So hopefully we go in a different direction. Buey here saying Farker never got the backing by Norwich, but yeah, but in that case, then Buey, he should have done better in terms of being tactically a bit more tighter with Norwich then, shouldn't he? And you look at some of the players that have just didn't progress under him. Max Aaron's, isn't he still at Norwich? He should have left Norwich years ago. But Meek, Jamal Lewis, okay. Godfrey, he's a weak player. Nah, for me, nah, 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 no. The more I say it, the more I don't want it. Um, but yeah, I mean, Arinda. I mean, going back onto Meslier, who is the main person of this. I mean, Arinda here is just saying Melier's done at 23. I mean, he's saying Arinda is saying I think Melier's done as a player. I don't think he comes back from this season. I would say Arinda that I think you're going a bit too far there because a lot of people would probably say the same about Aaron Ramsdale. 4 relegations on his CV. What is he going to do next? I mean, he had a little bit of a good run with Arsenal. I mean, he's still making mistakes, but he's in the Champions League next season. So it's not always just about how bad a season it is, but it's about him and has he got the ability to bounce back? Um, let's have a look. There was some. No, no, nothing there. I thought I saw a comment there. I mean, Glenn, I think you've mentioned this before on a comment, haven't you, Glenn? KG, you guys linked with Harry Winks. Would you take him? No, I wouldn't, Glenn. Glenn, I've said before about Harry Winks on here when we were linked with him under Bielsa. We've already got Adam Forshaw. We don't need another one. Yeah, yeah, he's younger. Yeah, he may play more games, but he's such a basic footballer. No, not for me. And I don't think the champion. I don't think he dropped to the championship anyway because I don't know where he's gone on loan now, Glenn. I know this isn't the real Glenn Huddle, by the way. just to be clear, but no, not for me. We've got Adam Forshaw who does everything that Harry Winks does. He runs around the pitch trying to look busy, passes the ball very simply, but at the end of the day, there's no goals, there's no assists, there's no tackles in there most games. You know, people are going to go back to the Adam Forshaw tackle where he got the one. Yeah, cool. But overall, in general play, nah, not for me. Just too basic of a football. And we need goals from midfield. Harry Winks doesn't do that for you. Um, but yeah, listen, I'm gonna end it there. I can't believe we've gone 40 minutes on this. I was literally planning a 20-minute video, and look what you guys have done. But shout out to all of you in the chat as well. Danny here saying, gotta be Nuno for me. Can't believe he isn't in the running. We don't know, but Danny, there's nobody in the running right now. We're still in transition for the ownership to the 49ers. These all you've seen in previous times, apart from the Farker one from Plettenberg, and shout out to him, is guesswork. It's bookies putting their names in a hat and saying who's the favorite and this and that. There hasn't been anyone in the running, but I guess we'll find out more probably in the coming week, because it needs to be moving now, people. It needs to be moving out. Transfer window is going to be open soon. We need to get players out. We need to get players in. So yeah, the coach needs to be done, and hopefully it's done next week. I was hoping by tomorrow, but I don't think that's really possible, isn't it? But yeah, listen, people, thank you for tuning in and giving your opinions. Defensive. Listen, if you got any opinions, put them in the comments. Like the video, best way to help the channel, as I always say, and it really is. That's the only thing that you can work out on this YouTube algorithm. It's a crazy, crazy game. But yeah, listen, people, I'll see you in the next video. Oh, before I go, Parrot House with a super sticker. Thank you so much for the support, as always, Parrot House. Thank you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, people. Peace out.